What up, everybody? That Talk Podcast. Welcome back. I'm your host, Nate. If you don't know me, stunt writer, motivational speaker, and content creator. I started this podcast so I could share what worked for me and what I learned along my journey. And that talk was just the inner dialogue that was going through my mind at the time of some sort of adversity or, in some sort of achievement. So today I want to jump right into it. One of the most important principles that I've learned and something that has worked for me many times. And the principle is not taking no for an answer. And I know you guys have heard it, but I'm going to tell this story in a little bit more detail about how in 2018, I worked at Icon Motorsports as an assistant videographer and editor. Why do I keep going back to this story? Why do I keep telling you guys this story over and over? No, it's not to brag, because in all honesty, after I picked up the position, like I said, it was an internship. I realized that it wasn't what I wanted. I realized that this wasn't something that was going to be sustainable for me. This wasn't something that was going to be something that I even wanted to do for my future. And I'll tell you why, because I value building myself, building my brand, building my independence over everything. And sure, could I have, done that for a few years, 5 years or whatever it may be, build a resume, quote unquote, and, take off from there? Absolutely. But the way I looked at it was my creative freedom was being dampened by somebody else, right? I couldn't really create the way I wanted to because someone always had to give you the stamp of approval. And also too, I realized the passion for creating was there based upon creating something for myself. I've thought before I got into this experience that, I just love creating. I love making stuff. And I found out that wasn't true. I kind of lost my spark. I kind of lost my passion. And, it became something where it was like, oh, I'm just going to maintain this because it's like a status thing. Free gear, a place where everybody wants to be, right? Icon, one of the big ones, and I'm sponsored by and representing Roo Rock. And that's another conversation. But really, like I said, I want to tell this story in a little bit more detail. I've told it before, but I just want to drive home the importance of this principle that I learned in my life is not taking no for an answer. When I was younger, I actually created this idea around the word no. And I used to say, when people tell me no, it just means I haven't thought about it enough yet, right? During sports, when I was younger in high school and things like that, when, coaches I couldn't play a certain position or, couldn't get on the field, couldn't get on the court. And then when I got older with job interviews and things like that, I always used to just say, you haven't thought about it enough yet. That's fine, but I'll be back. And that was my attitude. And it's funny because it wasn't like this cocky idea. I truly believed you haven't thought enough about me yet. You don't know enough about me to invest in me. You don't know enough about my work ethic to give me this opportunity. So and I never even took it offensively too. And that's what's funny is I feel like when people get told no, they take it very offensively. And for me, I truly would go back and say, okay, how can I? And I feel like it's crazy that I think back on this because I feel like some part of this I haven't lost, but I don't think I'm as efficient as I once used to be at this idea. And like I said, I would literally just go, all right, that's fine. You haven't thought enough about me yet. You don't know enough about me to give me this opportunity. And I would go back and I would say, how can I better improve my odds to earn this experience, right? How can I better improve myself to get in this person's good graces enough to let me have this opportunity? So I've been like this for as long as I can remember, that I would never take no for an answer. And I would always go straight back to the drawing board. Even as soon as I would walk out of the building or walk out of wherever I was attempting to get an opportunity, and I would sit in the car, I would start figuring out, okay, how can I? It was like a great challenge for me, right? Which I've always been very competitive and I love a challenge. And I was like, how can I get this? What can I do? Right. And I took this into the idea with getting the opportunity at Icon. So I want to just lay down a little bit of foundation. I had a friend that worked at Icon. He used to build the custom bikes there. And in 2016, it was about 2 years before I got the opportunity, I always used to drive by and I used to try to get in the building or see if anybody was there and poke around. Hey, you know, I know so and so. Can I come in? And one day I was driving by just on a whim, and my friend was outside. He invited me in, showed me what he was working on, and I, of course, happened to have my camera because back then I was carrying it everywhere. And I went in the building and I asked, hey, you know, can I take some videos? He had to ask the big boss, hey, as long as nothing gets posted, not a big deal. Okay. So I start, man, the wheels just started turning. I'm like, wow, I'm literally in here at this place where I was wearing a helmet that saved my life in an accident. I'm in the facility where the helmet was created, taking videos. And I couldn't believe that this was actually happening. So I got a tour, ended up taking home like a jacket or a helmet that day or something like that. But I ended up meeting a couple people, and it planted a seed in my mind that, man, what if I worked here? Like, you know, I'm working on my craft. I was working on videography, working on editing, working on filming. And I was like, wow, what if I could work here? Like, how crazy would that be for a guy like me? And I've always been attracted to the underdog story, right? The underdog mentality, the guy that always gets counted out. Like, that has always been me. And so I was like, how can I turn this situation into one of those stories? And that's what motivated me. So 2 years goes by, and I mean, I didn't pursue anything with it. It was just like a thought in the back of my mind. And then I ended up reaching out to one of the marketing representatives, I think it was. And I was like, hey, this was just on a whim. I had met this person a few times, and I reached out and I said, hey, if you guys ever need a second shooter or a third shooter or a gear carrier, you know, whatever it was, literally just like holding the light or something, you guys can, you know, I would love to do that. I would love that opportunity. And it was funny because literally the day that I reached out, she ended up writing me back on an email. I was like, hey, we actually have a shoot tomorrow that's local. We love more guys to come. I was like, oh my, like just mind blown, right? So I show up to the shoot. It's a stunt show that was local to Portland. A friend of mine at the time was actually in the stunt show, brought my camera, brought all my equipment, and you know, I met up with the head videographer, got to meet him, got to introduce myself, kind of tell him my background, tell him, you know, hey, you know, I'm self-taught. And, you know, videographer guys, they love that, right? Because they love the hunger. Like, if you're willing to learn a skill set and learn it on your own with no help, no film school, no nothing, like it takes a certain type of a person to want to do that. So, you know, I think he was pretty impressed with that. He was impressed with the footage that I got. I got different kinds of stuff than they had normally been seeing, right? Because I had a certain kind of style. Because like I said, I'm self-taught. I didn't have like a teacher looking over me going, you know, this is the way to do it, and this is traditional, because traditional was starting to go out the window. So I had my own little flair. And what I did was, and I gave this sauce out more than once, is I kept the SD card, right? I was filmed. They wrapped it all up. You know, they had a bunch of shit to pack up. They had a bunch of things to break down, and nobody was thinking about the SD card. So I kept it. And the reason that I kept it is because I knew that I would have to take it back down there, and I would get to come in the building and I get to shoot the shit with them, because it would take, you know, 20 minutes or so to download all this footage. So I end up texting or emailing the guy a couple of days later. Hey man, I can't believe it. I totally forgot to give you guys the SD card. Boom. Perfect opportunity, right? So I get down there. Like I said, I end up shooting the shit with him. He's downloading the footage. I get about 20 minutes. He gives me another tour, introduces me to a couple more people, and I shoot my shot, right? I'm like, okay, I'm here. What's the worst that can happen? They tell me no. And again, what does no mean? They haven't thought about it enough yet. So I'm like, hey, I don't know if this is something that you guys do. I don't know if this is something that's even you guys have thought about, but what I would love to get more opportunities like I had with you, and I would love to assist you on a regular basis. And he was like, you know what? I've actually been thinking about that. I need somebody, but I haven't talked to anybody about it yet. So this is something that could be a great introduction to that, because we don't have that type of stuff. What is your background? What is your history? And I was like, hey, you know, I kind of told you at the event, I'm self-taught. You know, I don't have a degree. I don't have any background. And he just, this look on his face is just like, oh, dude. And I'm like, fuck, like I literally said to him, just take a chance on me. You won't be disappointed. And he was like, okay, let me see what I can do. Let me see if I can set up a meeting with Kurt, who's the CEO. He started Icon and then sold it to a big company so he could expand. And then the creative marketing director, which is basically right under him, it's like, let me see if I can set up a meeting. A couple of weeks go by, I don't hear anything. I end up reaching out again, and I'm like, hey, what's up with that meeting? What's up with that meeting? And corporate stuff moves way slower than what I'm used to. I'm used to, hey, let's set up a meeting. Let me come in tomorrow, right? It's a little more official than that. So I'm literally in the process of creating my own door, right? Just because I asked a question, just because I didn't want to get told no, just because I had this like dog in me and this fight in me that I want to be here. I want to do this. So I end up getting the meeting. I sit down with the CEO. I sit down with the creative director, and they're asking me all these questions. And every answer is, I don't know how to do it, or I've never done it before. And I'm thinking, fuck. Do you know how to use this software? No. Do you have any experience with After Effects? No. Do you have any experience with Photoshop? No. Do you have any experience with this, right? I'm using a step above basic editing software, which isn't the industry standard that they were using. The graphics things are important just because then you don't have to wait for somebody else to give you some sort of asset for a video. After Effects, which is basically like motion graphics, had no experience there. I wasn't using any of the Adobe products, which, like I said, are industry standard at that time. And did you go to film school? No. Do you have at least a bachelor's degree, at least a 4-year degree? No. Do you at least have a 2-year degree? No. And I'm thinking, all I can think about in my head is, do what you've always done. And I just looked at him and said, I can learn. I can figure it out. Just give me a chance. I can figure it out. I promise. I promise I can figure it out. I promise I can learn. I promise I can do all the things that you're asking me to do. I'll write them down and I'll figure it out. Don't take no for an answer, because no was coming. And the CEO and the creative director are looking at each other like, this is a waste of time, right? This guy's got no skills that we need. And no resume, no credentials, no whatever. And I'm looking at them like, but I'll do it, right? I got will. I don't have skills right now, but I got will, and I'll figure it out. I got that dog in me, right? I think the only thing that saved me was telling them my journey on the bike, because it explained my character to them. It explained the shit that I had went through, explained the accident, and I told them, why do you want to be here? Because I wore a helmet that saved my life when I got in an accident and it said Icon on it. I want to be here. And I personally think it was in me explaining my journey and in me explaining my character of showing them pictures of what I've been through, coming back. I pulled up on the bike that day, still doing my thing, never quit. I think that was what turned it. And, as corporate, like I said before, waited a couple weeks, didn't hear anything. Ended up signing a contract for a 6-month videography internship at Icon after that. And I was just like mind blown, like, holy shit, this is a story for the books. This is a fucking story for the books. Why? Because no credentials, shouldn't have been there. Nobody in their right mind, and I'm a little off, as you guys know, but nobody in their right mind would have even asked for that type of opportunity if you had the lack of credentials, had the lack of know-how, capabilities that I had. No one in their right mind would be asking for these type of nobody in their right mind would be asking for these type of opportunities except for me. And I usually have it hanging back up here on my wall, but I couldn't keep it straight and it was really bothering me. But I kept the very first check that they wrote me. And I look at it not as a reminder to the money, because it was like barely nothing. It was like $100-something. But the check reminds me of what I did to get that opportunity. And it's a constant reminder, don't take no for an answer. Figure it out. Be a dog, right? Be the person that doesn't take no for an answer. That is literally one of the most important things that I learned along my journey. Even with the bike, right? When the bike threw me on the ground, I picked it back up. I didn't take no for an answer. Everything that I've ever achieved on the bike or, in videography, in general in life, like, I just never took no for an answer. So everything that you go through, if you truly want it, there is no obstacle that will stop you, right? The only obstacles are in your mind. You are creating obstacles that you believe can stop you. And then when there is no belief, as you guys know, how to manifest something, I've told you this before, thoughts, actions, beliefs. The belief and the thoughts and the action, they're all a circle. They all drive together. But if there is no belief, if I don't think and I can walk in there and say, I believe that I can work here, right? I believe I can do this. I believe I can have what I want in my life. You're missing the biggest part of the circle. So you have to believe that you can do it. And the belief is what's going to push you into saying shit that's off the wall, right? Being able to get in a room and prove yourself when you have no credentials. I only said the shit that I said because I believed I could do it. I only promised the things that I promised because I believed I was worthy and I could figure it out. And I can do this. I can do what you guys are asking me to do. If somebody else can do it, so can I. You got to have that attitude. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you guys got value from that. Again, I just want to share what worked for me. I just want to share what I learned along my journey in hopes that I can help you and serve you guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment. Share this video with a friend. Spotify and Apple Music, please leave a review. It helps us grow. I appreciate you guys supporting as always. I have a free mindset group on the Telegram app. It is linked in the YouTube notes. On my Instagram, if you guys want to get a hold of me, you can reach me on my Instagram at Nasty Nate Jr. That's where I'm active the most. Thank you again, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.